He's told he's not going to be. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Monday, April 15, 2019. I want to welcome everyone to the Youth Education and Community Services City Council Committee meeting today. And if everyone would please stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance. Please repeat after me. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Do we have any speaker cards? No speaker cards. Okay, we're going to close the public comments. And let's see here. We're going to go ahead and start with the first item of the meeting, which is item number 1, approval of the Youth Education Community Services Council Committee meetings of July 23rd, 2018. If I can have a motion to approve. Oh, we're the only two that can do it. So. Okay, so that's a yes? Okay. All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so that motion passes. We're going to go on to item number 2, annual appointment of the chair and vice chairperson.
Can we do that without Jose being here?
We can do that.
Okay. So you're chair?
I will nominate you as the vice chair.
Okay.
Ceci Iglesias, would you accept?
I do.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're going to move on. Congratulations. And I will nominate myself as the chair. Can I get a second for that?
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay. Thank you very much, Madam Vice Chair. We're going to move forward with item number 3, verbal updates on the various projects. Do we have staff on that?
Yes, I'd like to introduce Mr. Stephen Pham and Tanya Kay, because I can't say her last name.
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mr. Chair and Madam Chair, or Madam Vice Chair. I'm pleased tonight to come back and give you a verbal report. A few months ago, we met and we indicated to this body that my staff and I, along with our Community Services Department, would be developing a volunteer program. By way of background, up until now, we had a very loose program, if you will, no structure in place, and we pretty much allowed anyone to volunteer. While it is a good intent, it created a great deal of liability for the city. This body agreed for us to go back to work and put a program together. So tonight, I'm very pleased to report back to the body here that we have a program in place. Tanya on my right has done a great job in pulling the resources together. We have a handbook that is now available. Anyone who wishes to volunteer, we have to go through a background process to make sure that we vet the people properly before they can come and join us. As you know, these volunteers often do work with senior citizens as well as children in our community, and we want to make sure that we do this properly. So at this point, if you have any questions, let me know. I have Tanya with me, and we'll be more than happy to walk you through in terms of some of the highlights of the program.
Madam Vice Chair, do you have any questions for the staff?
One question that I have is who pays for the background?
The background will be paid by us.
Okay.
The cost is extremely minimal.
Okay.
The background will be done online, so the applicant will go online after we approve, and they will fill in the information, and then the company that we have contract with will use that data to vet the individual, and then the report will be submitted to us, whether it's good or no good. And the cost is less than 20, I'm sorry, it's, I forgot what the cost is, but we pay a flat fee for as many people to go through as we can.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
And then how long does it take for it to turn around once you start the process?
The background itself, does this work? So the background itself takes about 3 days. So we'll get a return on their record within 3 business days.
Yes.
And who's being required to be fingerprinted and do the background? Is it all ages or?
Yes, we do not allow people less than 15 years of age to volunteer with us, and everyone is required to go through a background process.
Is it based on, because I don't know if in the background, I guess criteria, do they ask like for citizenship status? Do they ask like for social security numbers? I mean, what's the information?
May I respond? So no, a social security number is not asked during the investigation process.
Okay.
So if an applicant does go in, all they have to do is fill out 000, and it's basing on their address.
Okay. So then anybody who, regardless of citizenship status, can be able to be a volunteer?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, we are sensitive to that matter, so we want to make sure that we include as many people as possible. At the same time, we have an obligation to protect our residents, and so we want to make sure that we minimize the exposure and the liability as much as we can.
And when they're applying for to be a volunteer, are they going to be supervised? I mean, how do you guys determine who's where?
Yes, and I will ask the department to speak to this. How we do it at this point is that the applicant will apply, and then we'll go through the review process. And once they are clear and good to go, the department then can go ahead and decide where they want to put the volunteers and how they use the volunteers.
Go ahead.
I appreciate this program. Every other agency I've been with has a volunteer program. So people typically come and say they'd want to, volunteer for maybe Public Works or Parks and Recreation. But we get an opportunity when they apply to also interview them to make sure it's the right fit, to make sure it's what they're looking for. So after Stephen, his department says these folks are okay to move forward to volunteer, then we'll take it from there. Then we would have trainings and talk through what opportunities are available and things of that nature. So,
How about, how we have events, say the tree planting event? We have people that may show up at the last minute. How is that handled?
So if it's a one-time event, let's say we're having some students or the Boy Scouts come in and plant some trees in a park, we consider that a one-time event. So we do have an application for that one-time event, and those students are not going through a background process just because it is a one-time event. But they are supervised by staff, and we have the form which our staff does have, and it's available online, that does tell them that they will be supervised by staff as well.
And then when we're bringing in, say, like nonprofits or individuals from the community to interact like with our youth or with our kids, are they also being back, even though it's a one-time event, but are we having a background investigation on them too? The reason I bring it up is because I know at Santa Ana Unified School District, they had mentioned that they had this event at Spurgeon by someone who had a prior conviction, who was a felon, and they had access to the kids, and they were reading to them or something like that. So the parents found out. So what's the, I guess, precautions that we're taking in order to see that that doesn't happen with us?
So what we're doing, if we're having an entity come in and help us with some sort of event, or let's say read to children, we're asking them to create an MOU with us where they would validate that they're having their volunteers go through some background process.
But you just take their word, you don't verify?
Yes, ma'am. That's kind of a delicate, so we kind of put it on the onus on the company or the organizer that you are responsible for this person's conduct. Since it's only a one-time thing, things like that. But if they are doing anything longer than a day or 2 or 3 days, then we want that information up front. But if they come in for 1 day through a nonprofit, then we'll just give them an opportunity because we don't want to be too much of a bureaucratic system where people can't come in and help. But we do hold the third party accountable. At least that's what we will try to do.
And say that one more question. The application, is it in all languages? Is it only in English?
Right now, it's only in English, but we're trying to get it into Spanish and Vietnamese as well. So that is a work in process.
Yes.
I don't have any other questions.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. I have a few questions. So we haven't implemented this yet, right?
Yes, sir. It's actually we ready to go live, so it's actually is ready to go.
So we haven't live scanned anyone.
We've done that.
Yes, we have.
We have?
Yes.
Okay. And has there been any pushback from people saying, well, I don't want to do this, or
No, sir.
why are you doing this?
Yeah, I'm very pleased to report that we have no pushback. In fact, I believe, and I have my colleagues from the department here, I think it's welcomed. But more importantly, the city attorney's office is very much on board. She was one of the attorneys, Laura Rosini, worked with my staff, Tanya, to make sure that the contract is in place. And the city attorney is very much on board, and I have had no pushback at all.
And we have volunteers over at the senior center.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, and I noticed here that we're looking for convictions, people who do drugs, people that. My main concern with the elderly is identity theft and fraud, and sometimes kids, also get involved with that a little bit. But okay, I just wanted to make sure that. But just because someone is arrested doesn't mean, and they're not convicted, doesn't mean that they can't.
Absolutely. And that's where we're coming from as well. And the department has some statistics to share, but I'm very pleased to tell you that since we implemented it, Tanya has reported back to me that we had identified a few characters that we would not be offering the opportunities. Without this program, they would have been here today. But because of what we've done so far, we've kept a few very questionable characters from joining us.
How many is that, would you say?
Yeah, I would say at least 6 that I know since the program was implemented.
I see. Ms. Jurado?
Just really quick, Jeannie Jurado. For the boys basketball, we have 90 volunteer coaches, and they've been through this as well. We have 45 volunteer coaches for girls basketball. We have 30 for rookie ball, and 30 for flag football. Santa Ana Senior Center, Southwest Senior Center, we have a lot of volunteers as well, and we're very thankful. We already have one that they told us cannot no longer volunteer with us. And we have over 1,000 volunteers within Parks and Recreation and the library and the zoo as well. So we are very appreciative. This really helps us. We want to be sure we're safe. It's safe for the elderly, the youth, and the families in general. Because we also have family pride, so.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's great. I didn't know we had that many volunteers throughout the whole city with all of the. Do you have a?
That's just Parks and Recreation. Tanya could speak on all the volunteers within all the departments.
You'd be surprised.
So I didn't bring all the statistics, but we do have over 1,000. So we have the zoo, Friends of the Library, Parks and Recreation, our coaches. We're also live scanning our contractors that are coming in, just like the coaches. So this program has really enhanced and created more efficiency for our departments. They can depend on us in getting an application through, reviewing them, vetting the applicant through. So there's some sort of process in place that's similar to an employment opportunity here as well too. So for that being said, I think we've had a good partnership so far, and we're moving along to make it even better.
And if I may add too, we have over 1,000 people volunteer for us. And prior to this program, the truth is we didn't really know these folks. We had no background as to where they came from. But with this program now in place, staff has done a great job in systematically processing these folks. Even they have already been here. Now we're tapping back to make sure that they're clear to be with us. So you can imagine the type of work that we put in. It takes a lot of resources and it takes a lot of staff time, but it is the best thing we can do for the community.
Thank you very much. So when we're done pretty much with the 1,000 that we've screened, if I can get a number of how many people we've had to say
DQ?
goodbye to,
Yes, sir, we will.
hopefully that number doesn't grow much more than.
That would be a concern, yes.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much for the update on that. And we're going to move on to 3B, the city swimming pools.
Thank you, Ron Ono, Parks and Recreation, Admin Services Manager. Basically, I'll bring you up quickly on the 5 swimming pools we have in the city of Santa Ana. As you know, City Council just recently approved that all the pools will be open 6 days a week, and the reason for the 6 days is on Mondays we close the pool for maintenance. We are currently preparing 3 pools for resurfacing. As you can see, Santa Anita Pool plastering has been completely removed and is ready for inspection for replastering. Memorial Pool, the pool plastering will be completed tomorrow, and then that will be also ready for replastering. And Salgado Pool will start demolition in April the 17th. At Salgado, we'll also be removing and replacing the concrete deck as well as the drainage system. Additional improvements planned. I won't go through every one of them, but as you can see, there's various items that's being repaired either by staff or by contract to make the pools ready for open. One of the areas I should bring to your attention is that Memorial. We need to repaint the shower and locker room area. We're actually going to be doing it by volunteer service. I forget the name. Crown Castle has volunteered about 100 volunteers to come into Memorial to do various things, and one of the things is painting. So we requested that if they could paint all the locker rooms at Memorial and also replant the landscaping that's around the pool, and that's going to be happening on May the 8th.
They're doing this free of charge?
They're bringing them over 100 volunteers free of charge. The staff is buying the materials, and they are painting the shower and locker room areas, but they're also painting the bleachers, all the bleachers in the park site.
That's good. Who is it? Crown Castle?
Crown Castle. They're a company that's associated with cell towers. They actually contract with cell companies.
Okay. Are they going to do all our pools or just Memorial?
Just Memorial.
A lot of corporations need volunteer opportunities for their own corporations or their own foundations, and so it's a matchmaking effort.
Yeah, and our target date for completion is May the 17th, so we can open the pools on May the 25th. Got any questions?
Thank you, Ron, for the update. And are we, when these, first off, any further questions, Madam Vice Chair?
Okay, so for all the pools are going to be completed by May 17th?
Yes.
Memorial, Salgado.
Only 3 of the pools are going to be resurfaced. The other 2 pools, we are budgeting to have it resurfaced next year.
Okay. And their hours of operation is going to be what?
I don't have it in front of me, but there will be 2 sessions per site. So we have an afternoon and later as well. So it's $1 per child and $2 per adult. And so the summer is going to be busy this year. The community's been wanting this year after year. And thank you to all of you for allowing us to do this. We are hiring 24 lifeguards, and we're looking for them currently.
That was my next question.
There you go. 24 lifeguards will be open 6 days a week, and like Ron mentioned, Mondays will be the downtime for the staff. But for Ron's staff, it's the day that they'll be cleaning up the pools.
So we'll get those hours of operation to you.
We'll send that to you. Oh,
I think the most important thing is we're now open 6 days a week. In the future, we'd like to have our maintenance done in the evening so we can open 7 days a week. But we'll have to work on that. We're blitzing these pools. We're providing. I just went to a conference this past week, and now I've got some harebrained ideas that's going to bring fun to the community. So we're going to add some fun features to the pool, and we're just sprucing it up, putting some shade in there, and making it a safe and good place. And we're also having cashier booths, so the people who are collecting the money are safe, and we're putting it through our civic recreation management software system. So I want to thank staff for trying to get this done by May 17th. We will get it done by May 17th, and we'll be opening on May 25th.
and I do have the hours if you would like.
Okay.
So the different sessions are 1 p.m. to 2:30 with a 30-minute break, and then 3 o'clock to 4:30 on a daily basis, except for Mondays. And then we also have the typical swimming lessons with Blu-ray, so that's in the morning. So we'll be full speed in the summer and ready for the hot weather.
Wait, do you guys have like concession places where they sell stuff? No. Is that something that we've had in the past? Because I'm saying like maybe like water and sunscreen and stuff like that that people may forget. Is that something?
Absolutely. That's a possibility to have that there at the front when they check in and they pay their money if they need some sunscreen or soda or something. We could get some vending machines for that the first year, and perhaps have a vendor come in to service all pools, in future years.
Because that'll be good, because I know many kids may not be ready for that when they go into the pool, and then you'll be
Right.
exposing them to a lot of sunburns.
Right.
Right. Okay, and then the other question that I had, and I think this I've shared this with you before, is like, is there a possibility to have, say, like vendors, like selling stuff out there who are permitted by the city to be outside, maybe if they wanted to, because after they come out, they may want to hang out and have some food or something before they head home, or either that or just take their snack and go back in there and pay the other $1 to go back inside.
That is a possibility. We're using food trucks in certain areas of the city, and that might be an option to have food trucks, travel around to different sites. Or, I don't know if that's what they serve, but we probably can get something like that to accommodate the folks.
And how would you go about like choosing who goes and who doesn't?
I'm not sure. I know Daisy was. Were you in charge of the food trucks? I'm not sure what their requirement is on sales and things of that nature for the day. They don't have any. Okay. So I'm not sure. I'd have to check that out with Daisy.
Because sometimes they have like just the little ones, the ones that they go around the park and the cart ones.
Carts. Yeah.
I don't know.
We can certainly look into that as a permitted process or something like that.
Okay.
I'm sure they'll come. One of the memories that I've had as a child, we didn't have a lot of money, but my dad would take us to the pool, and that is, a good memory for me. And I'm glad we're doing this 6 days a week. I think last year, what happened last year?
Yeah, 1 day a week.
1 day a week, and then we changed it up for a bit. Jose was on the committee with us.
We only had Jerome and Memorial fully like 6 days a week. The other smaller pools was 1 day a week or twice a week, but less time because we didn't have the staff and we didn't have the resources. So yes, we
Right.
appreciate what we're going to do this year.
I'm very, very happy to see this because I know a lot of people use it. We fix it and we open it, people will come. So thank you very much to everyone involved. Appreciate it. We'll move on to item 3C, will be the 6th and Lacey groundbreaking event.
Could I just have one more question to Steven. Can I go back or no?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. The application process for the volunteer, the handbook, is this online too, or
Yes, it should be published online as well too, on our city website.
it is? Okay.
And we're gonna make that in Spanish and Vietnamese as well.
Okay, that was my question. Okay.
And before you go away from that, I just want to take a moment, if I may. Tanya and her staff, Ashley, done a lot of work on this. It's easy for me to say, hey, I like to get this done. You give them directions and stuff, but they pull it together. And I just want to make sure that they have the proper recognition. It was a lot of work put into it.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
I saw the handbook. I said, whoa, so a lot of pages here. And then to have it translated, thank you again.
It's one of those things that every city has on their list. We finally got to it.
Sixth and Lacey.
This will be a quick update. We had the groundbreaking event on Saturday, March the 30th. We had over 150 plus folks to attend and see the dream that's about to become true. We had Mayor Pro Tem Villegas, Councilmember Penelosa, and Councilmember Solorio attend. And the community just had a great time. As you can see with the pictures, the kids loved putting on a white construction hat and shoveling some of their dirt. Like I said, it was just a great event, and looking forward to it being completed. Actually, the construction started on April the 1st, and we're on schedule.
Excellent. Any questions? Okay, we're going to move on to, thank you, Jeannie. We're going to move on to 3D, Delta, Youth Sports, CPRS Awards.
That one's mine as well. Be a quick update. Just happy to let you know that the California Parks Recreation Society acknowledged our youth sports program, and now we're in the Hall of Fame. It's a big deal within this world of Parks and Recreation. Staff received a medal on April the 4th. If you can move forward, Hiram. This gives you a little glimpse of what the title was, District 10 Hall of Fame Award, Parks Make Life Better. And just to let you know that the staff that is in charge of this are doing remarkable. With the strategic plan funding, I want to thank the mayor and council for this. The last 5 years, the program has grown tremendously. We have girls basketball, boys basketball, rookie ball, and on and on. And the numbers showed. We had, and you can see it there, over 1,500 in our youth sports that we have currently. That's why we got the award. We had representation from different Parks and Rec from all over California there, and everybody was very happy to hear about Santa Ana for the first time in many years. And now we are proud to say that we're coming back to CPRS and we're members, thanks to our leadership now, and we'll continue moving forward because we want Santa Ana to be on the map. So thank you.
Thank you very much and congratulations to everyone. Let's move on to, you got a question? Sure.
So who gets to go to the Hall of Fame?
Well, the Hall of Fame was a recognition at Laguna Woods, not too far from here. And luckily, I was there with my staff, America Robledo, that is a program coordinator that leads the whole program, and also Juan Lara, that's the supervisor in charge of this particular program.
Oh, okay. So is it given to the city as a Hall of Fame, or is it the...
It was given.
The youth who participated.
It was given to Parks and Recreation in honor of the youth that are a part of this program. So they'll show that at their next events that they have with the youth, which is that medal.
And it's providing programs to the youth. So CPRS is the strongest professional organization for park recreation and leisure service professionals. So this is a big deal. And we do many great things in this department, and it's about time we need to showcase what we do and be recognized for those things. This is at the local level, and there's also awards at the state level. So, for example, Sixth and Lacey, when that's finished, we will be applying for that award, and that will come back to the city of Santa Ana. And I'm hoping that we'll get that award. And then that's a state conference, usually in Southern or Northern California. Sometimes you bring your commissioners or Board of Recreation and Parks to accept those awards and be recognized. So anyway, very proud of Jeannie and her staff and everyone else.
Mr. Acting City Manager, if we can get this on the future agenda, we can,
For City Council?
for City Council. Any other questions, comments? Okay, we'll move on to 6E, Proposition 68, the park grant.
Yes, this is Ron Ono, Admin Services Manager. Just real quickly, you're all aware of Prop 68 was approved by the voters. There'll be $650 million available statewide, and it'll be available in multi-rounds. $254 million will be available in this first round, and the City of Santa Ana would like to go after this grant funding. There's a maximum of 8.5 million max that you can apply for, and a minimum of $200,000. Application is due in August the 5th, 2019. This grant is for new parks or existing parks or renovating existing parks. I'm sorry, expanding existing parks or renovating existing parks. The eligible recreation features, I won't go through all of them. You see it before your screen. Acquisition is one, community centers, athletic fields, dog parks, jogging paths, playground, gazebos, public art, and various other items that you normally would see in a parks site. It requires 5 community input meetings. We've already started the community input meetings on some of the sites that we would like to go after. And there's a selection criteria of a half-mile radius that must meet the lack of park space, significant poverty, community engagement, operation, maintenance, and project need. So as we go through it, the state will rate these projects based on those criteria. The 3 sites that we would like to go after, one is Standard and McFadden. It's a half-acre site. There used to be a private property that was developed into a soccer field and a community garden site. Soccer field needs major renovation, and so we've gone to the public to see what they would like to see developed in this vacant park site. The other site is Raid and Myrtle. It's about a 1-acre site. It's currently vacant, and we've gone through 2 community meetings on this site for input on what they would like to see in this park site. The third item is Memorial Park. Now, it's an existing park site. It's 17 acres, but for a long time, the staff and the community has indicated there's a need to completely renovate the recreation, or what used to be a pool building, which turned into a recreation center, to completely demolish that and reconstruct it as a recreation community center. So we're going through a public hearing, a public process right now to see if they still support that. And then if they do, then we'll apply for a community center at that location. This last slide is the series of meetings that we're holding at the 3 park sites to gain their input. Any questions?
I have questions. You mentioned dog park for one of the criteria. Is that something that we're, I guess, looking into having a dog park here in Santa Ana?
At one point, the previous director was looking at a possible dog park up on the north end of the city, by Bristol and the I-5 freeway. There's a land that's owned by the state. We've actually approached the state. This was several years ago. We did approach the state. They've indicated that they would be interested in providing the land for a park site, since we offered to maintain that site. But we didn't have the funding to actually develop it, so it kind of died. Other than that, the community meetings we have gone through right now, no one has indicated the need for a dog park in
Just
those
those
3
three
sites.
sites.
In those
Okay.
3 sites, yeah.
Thank you, Ron. That doesn't mean that a
I see.
dog park won't be built in the city of Santa Ana. We'll be going through, in the future, a parks master planning process, which will take into consideration the entire park system, and we'll be engaging the community. So that there will be an opportunity for soccer field, dog parks, skate parks, whatever the community wishes, and in different areas of the community. So it's not that we won't ever have one. It's just not during this Prop 68 application.
And why did we only focus on those 3 sites, not in other sites around the city?
The reason why we focus on that is because those are 2 vacant sites that we know we have to develop. And then this is an opportunity to go after the funding to develop those 2 vacant sites. Memorial we went after is because of the community center need that was expressed years ago, and we wanted to follow up with that. That's the reason why we went after those 3 sites. It doesn't mean that we can't go after another site, but those are the ones we're starting the community input process.
How about at Centennial? Because I know we did the walk at Centennial. I believe we've shared with you how, like, I guess, like on the, by where your, I guess, office is at, like right next to it, they have like a vacant land. Is that something that we can go after that money to kind of help build it, maybe for a dog park or something like that?
Yeah, I know which land you're talking about. The 5 acre or so property southwest corner of the park site.
Yes, right
Yeah.
next to the building.
By reservations.
Yes,
That site, like the park site, the Centennial Park is for recreational purposes only. That particular site is for educational purposes only. So whatever we do in there would have to be related to education. That doesn't mean we can't teach people how to train dogs, but it has to be education related.
But is it something that we can go after with Prop 68 or no?
Yeah. At
Yes.
this point, we have chosen 3 sites, and I think that the 2 vacant land sites, we think we'll get the most points for because it's vacant land. There is no park there, or it's
Right.
minimally developed. And then Centennial is more of a sophisticated system. Again, it doesn't mean that you can't do it, but we've been working really hard to have all these 5 community input meetings per site, and staff is working really hard, and it's very time consuming, and so we that's why we stuck with these 3 sites. But
Because I always feel like when we always focus on this side of town, never focus on that side of town. Maybe we could have chosen like Santa Anita, or maybe, is it Rosita? So it seems like, are we ever going to make that side of town a priority too? Because I know there's opportunities for us to do something over there.
Yeah, and one of the items on the agenda is Santa Anita. We can talk about Santa Anita, and it's a 5 acre site. It's kind of landlocked. And to do that, you would have to either expand it or demolish the existing center and rebuild it. That's a possibility. The other thing we looked at is, remember the criteria, the selection criteria that the state indicated we had to meet? So as we selected this site, we actually looked at the state fact finder, which they will use to identify the poverty level in the city and the income level and the amount of population within a half-mile radius. And exactly, you have it right there.
This is Santa Anita, right?
That's Santa Anita. So,
That's right.
so we looked at that, and the 3 sites that we originally looked at met those criteria. So we have a good feeling that we'll be competitive to go after the site. The other thing that the state will do, after they select your site, and let's say you're on the short list to get selected, they'll actually take your site and judge it among the other sites from other cities that's on the selection list. So they'll go through another process again because you'll be competing against the other cities. So that's the process they will go through.
Ben, you don't think Santa Anita would score high enough on that one?
Well, no, I think Santa Anita will meet some of it, but it's so tight that you almost need to. We would have to do like an acquisition, I think, if we went after Santa Anita to develop a larger community center. Because I've heard the neighborhood would like to have a community center there, but it takes more space. Because not only would you have to expand the community center, you would have to expand the parking lot. So that's why. It takes, but we're going on the other subject right now.
Yeah, we're going on the next one. Santa Anita's the next one. So.
Okay.
But well, we'll get to it. Any further questions other than Santa Anita? Because Santa Anita's the next.
Okay. No, so then so this is only for this 1 year then, or is it also ongoing for how many years?
No, remember I was indicating the $600 and some odd million that they have. The first round is for 200 and I forgot the number is here. So they'll have second round and maybe possibly 3 rounds that we'll apply for.
Okay.
Ron, have we used Prop 68 money yet?
No.
Okay, so the first year is always the try. So he's competing with a bunch of other cities for these 3. So as he goes through this, he'll realize what scores well,
Right.
what doesn't score well, and will be a much better applicant at round 2. And that's true with every grant.
Right.
Okay, we will move on to 3F, which is the park security cameras.
This is Ron Ono. I was hoping someone from Santa Ana PD would be here to talk about the security camera
He's right
issue.
back there.
Just quickly, City Council did approve an amendment to Siemens. So with that, we're moving forward with Siemens to kickstart again the process. We've already completed Madison Park. We need to complete Windsor, Chapa, Santa Anita, Memorial, and Jerome. They just provided us a rough schedule on those remaining park sites. They hope to be, they need to procure or obtain equipment for those sites before they can start. They hope to start that process in April to June. They hope to start installation on those sites, and these are various months, but starting in May to July. And they hope to complete those 5 park sites by the end of June or by August.
Question. For Windsor Village, remember in February, what is he now, Deputy Chief Gaminsky? He came before the council and he said that they were going to start the security cameras at Windsor then, and nothing's happened. What's taking them, or I mean, not them, but maybe the process so long? Because my understanding, the money's there, we have everything set to go. So what's causing the delay?
You want me to answer that?
Yeah.
Just quickly, on Windsor, the police department wanted to install the antennas on Jackson School. I don't know if you remember that or not. And they were hoping, they've got confirmation from the principal to put an antenna on Jackson School. So that was their idea to provide cameras to ricochet the signal to provide cameras at Windsor. That never materialized, so they were looking at other alternatives. One of the alternatives is actually to put the antenna at Centennial Park, one of the sports field lights, and ricochet that signal on back to City Hall. You've got to have almost a straight line of sight to ricochet the information. So the plan is to do it from Windsor to Centennial and then back to City Hall. They just got the amendment approved by Siemens, and so they're in the process of doing that.
So they're not here, so they can't answer these questions.
Yeah.
But by you gave us a timeline May through July. So then by July it should be done. Is that what I'm hearing?
From May to July is when they're going to start the, and by the way, that May to July is identifying the 5 park sites. They'll be working on one and jumping to the next one and the next one. So, that's when they're going to start the installation. And then they hope to complete by end of June to August on those 5 sites.
So by when should, because we've been waiting at
Right.
Windsor, and I know that when we had the last meeting, I think that was my question. Because we already have the money, it's like, so what's the delay? Like, we just don't
And
get it.
look, we are the client of the police department. They're in charge of this. And I talked to them today, and they'd be happy to talk with you, you know,
What the
to
delay
explain
is.
the process and the delay. It's just,
Because it's been 2 weeks, and because I remember
I know.
them through the presentation, and I asked that question.
yeah.
And, oh yeah, we'll start in February, and February's come and gone, and
Right.
We
And,
could-
and from what I understand, Windsor will be completed in June.
Right.
So,
Would you, Madam Vice Chair, would you like a written report for the police department, or we can just have them, add it to the council meeting so the deputy chief can report out?
I would like to have it, on the council meeting, because I want him to let us know, because we've been asking, and it seems like, you know, he did say that we would have been done by February, and nothing's happened. So
Okay,
can we do that?
that's fine with me also, yes. We can have that, Mr. Acting City Manager, added in the future. Thank you, sir. Any further questions on the cameras? Because it's you know, the police are not here, so, yeah. We can ask more questions then. We'll move on to item number 4, which is the Santa Anita Park Improvement Request.
Yes. We've heard from the community as well as you that there's been expressed interest in a community center at Santa Anita Park. We've analyzed it and looked at it and see how can we actually get that done. And we've indicated we've looked at possibly a 10. Well, let me back up. Santa Anita Park Community Center is around 3,200 square feet. And Roosevelt is a 10,000 square foot community center. Delhi is a 27,000 square foot community center. So if we went to a 10,000 square foot, we looked at the site and said, well, how can we get 10,000 square feet facility in here? And at the same time, we needed to look at expanding the parking lot, because the parking lot right now is not large enough to even accommodate what we have at the park site. So the parking lot will probably have to double or maybe even triple in size. That's going to wipe out probably the basketball court and maybe the handball court. So the obvious thing comes down, we need to expand the site if we want to put in at least a 10,000 square foot facility. And so we looked at the site and what's the possible way we could expand it. On the next slide, it shows that there's four parcels north to First Street. And if we want to expand it, that's probably the direction we'd like to expand the facility. That way we could expand the parking lot and the community center and not impact all of the other existing facilities in the park site. That would require a community input meeting. Obviously, will require those sites to be acquired at fair market value, and not through an eminent domain process. If you acquired any of these sites through eminent domain process, then you won't be eligible to receive any grants. But you could go after this site if you wanted to on the next round for acquisition, but which means we would have to start negotiating with the property owners.
Do you have any questions? Because I have questions also. Go ahead. Okay. Mr. Ono, so thank you very much for bringing this presentation today. Have we had contact with the property owners?
No, because at this point we haven't gotten direction to even start any kind of negotiations.
Very good. I know we had a discussion about this, but we needed to bring it to committee and
Right.
and go about it that way. But yeah, that Santa Anita Park is fairly small. I mean, having those, that area up front, I think would be a great place to see if we can open up the park. The parking lot is just too small
Correct.
for the facility. To the left, we have the tire or whatever. What is that? The recycling center.
It's a tire. It used to be a tire recycling center. Now I think they've got some automobiles stored on the site, and it's almost like a used car lot type of a facility.
So, would you recommend the squares on top to go and make contact with the owners of those properties, or are you interested in going to the left over here, where the tire
Well,
facility is?
if we go to the whatever site we go after is going to require some type of environmental impact report, and our concern if we go to the west, the site may be contaminated with oil and other things that we would have to address. But if we went to the north, there haven't been any type of improvements on those sites that would make it. We'll have to go through that same process of.
So it's just like one house. I see like it's only like one residential.
There's one house and there's 3 businesses, I believe.
Right here, I think.
Yeah, the businesses. So
Yeah.
the businesses.
The funny thing, if you look at, at the white portion, it's hard to read. 3 of those sites are owned, I think, by the same family. They've got the same last name.
How long have they been in the city?
I'm not sure.
Well, would you agree,
That would make
Madam
the
Vice
most
Chair,
sense.
to see if make contact and see if they're interested in selling, and maybe we can purchase some of that land, and then we can expand this, because we're going to need more parking and we're going to need more facility. I know that
Yeah, because the facility itself, I went to one of their meetings, their neighborhood association meeting. I mean, I don't even know what to say, but their community center needs a lot of TLC. It's just seems like it's an old house, and it's just even the office for the staff just seems like a little corner, and it's, I don't know, it just doesn't seem inviting at all.
And that facility is probably 45 years old. And you're right. We will need to look at possibly at least expanding the parking lot, if not the building, because we have a grant, $1 million grant, to actually put synthetic turf on that soccer field. So once we do that, it's going to be used a lot more, and we are going to need parking to accommodate that field.
that money coming. When does that start, Mr. Ono? The work on the soccer field.
Yeah, let me see.
I remember when we were approved for the money, and it was great and all, but time flies, I guess.
One second. Let me see if I have it here.
I think there was a match required, and that's what we were waiting, $1 million match.
Yeah, and she's right. There was a match required, but since then we have assembled all the funding necessary. So we've given the project over now to Public Works to start their design process, and it looks like they've indicated design is going to start this month till September. They hope to be under construction in January of 2020.
Oh, so got a little bit of a ways.
Yeah.
Are you also looking into installing more lights?
They've already got existing lights there, and we just renovated the security lights there. Granted, there's probably going to need more lights, but our funding was just to replace the old lights with new lights without creating additional conduits and additional locations. So we've upgraded the lights to LED lights, so it should be brighter at the site right now.
It's brighter just at the front, but if you go towards the back, it's very dark.
It's probably because it needs additional light
Yes.
poles.
So
Yeah.
what's the process in having those additional poles installed?
We can do that. It just takes the funding to do that.
So then, does,
Yeah.
well, I know, but there'll be money. So that's why I would like to know is like, what is it that we need in order for us to complete the entire park? Because if you just do it like, pieces by pieces, it just doesn't make sense.
Right.
Versus if we can install the lights towards the back, because I know right there, they were having some issues with the homeless going in there and just having a lot of vandalism and stuff like that. So if we could, when we look at this project, if we could look at it holistically of how we can make the entire park look nice, installing everything, that would be ideal.
And I agree with you. It's when you do a project, you need to look at it from a holistic standpoint, and not just piecemeal together. It's just that the funding that we had for the lighting was just to replace the existing light and bring it up to LED lights. So that's what we did, using the existing conduits.
So when would that conversation? Can we start that conversation of doing the holistic approach for Santa Anita?
Well, first you would have to decide whether you want to expand. And then once you start expanding and we know how much property we have to work with, then we can do the master planning for the park site and see it from a holistic standpoint. Where's the parking is going to be? Where's the playground equipment? If we're going to move the basketball court, where is that going to be to accommodate the site? There may be other things that the public may be interested in to add to the site other than the community center. So all that needs to go through a planning process, the public input process. It's going to take a while, but the first step, obviously, before you even start doing that round, do you have the land to do it?
So when does that conversation come up of when do we want to expand? Is it here or is it at the council chamber?
A recommendation should come from
Okay.
here.
Okay.
So would you like to, let's see if we get this straight. Direction will be go and make contact with the property owners, the adjacent properties to the park, and see if they're interested in selling. And then if there's any improvements with lights and anything else actually in your assessment, if you can add it on a list and bring it back to the committee in July.
Sure.
That
You interrupt, but wouldn't we rather do an appraisal first?
an appraisal on,
The properties?
well, whatever the process would be to find out
Get
if
it
they're interested
started.
in selling and the price, and then come back and.
Prices established
To appraisal. Yeah.
Yeah, so whatever gets
Yeah.
the process started,
Okay.
I think that's what needs to happen.
So let's give you some loose direction. Is direct staff to do initial research regarding acquisition of properties.
Mhm.
Is that okay? There you go.
And city manager lingo, that's fine.
It's broad based for you guys.
And then while we're waiting for that appraisal, I mean, I don't know how much it would take for us to put a light by the pool, like by the pool or by the community center, by the building. It's very dark right there. There's no in the back. It kind of seems like a little alley. So I've gotten some calls saying that sometimes that's where a lot of the activity happens.
For clarification, is that between the wall and the rec center near the pool area in the
Yes.
back? Okay.
It's very dark. So we can have.
You're not talking about here? This is what you're talking about?
This is the community center, so I came
Right.
like right there.
Okay.
So I think there's some, like a community garden too, right? Yeah. So right there,
Mhm.
if you can install some lights or something, because it gets very dark at night. And what I've heard from Felipe and other people from Santa Anita Neighborhood Association, that's where some things happen sometimes.
The other thing that I know you're aware of, that Santa Anita Park is one of the parks that's going to also have security cameras. So when on that process, the security cameras will be also installed there too.
I still remember the meeting that we had here. I remember saying those cameras are no good without lighting.
That's true. That's true.
And a grainy film is no good in court. You need to have pretty good film. That's why I asked if those cameras are high quality, because what good is it that we have cameras and we have footage that
Yeah.
doesn't hold up in court? Yeah. So, okay, very
We can
good.
look into
We'll
that.
move on to item number 5, which is the public restrooms of the city parks. Madam Vice Chair.
This, just quickly, this item was requested by the council to put on the agenda. So I took it among myself to just kind of give you a quick update on where we stand.
Very misleading. Our parks, our
Yeah.
restrooms don't look like this.
Which one?
That's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, this is for the cover.
Yeah.
But we have,
Where is that at? Irvine?
no, that's the Pacific Electric part.
Okay.
We have 29 public park restrooms. That's not counting the community centers and all that. That's maintained by Valley Custodial. They maintain it 2 times per day, 7 days per week. The restrooms are cleaned, deodorized, and stocked. And the restrooms are inspected in the morning by city staff, and then inspected in the afternoon by city staff. And if the restrooms are not maintained per our specifications, then the city staff actually submits to them an FTP, that's a failure to perform. And once they get their failure to perform notice, we actually deduct the amount it would cost to maintain that restroom for that 1 day or 2 days, or however times they have failed. On the security of those restrooms, we are working with Santa Ana PD to release an RFP to hire private security service to secure the restrooms at night and also secure the gates in some of our park sites. The restrooms, some of the newer ones already have partition doors in it. The older ones, like you see in this photo here, do not have partition doors. We would like to install partition doors for privacy of the individual that's using the restroom. I'll give you a reason why partition doors were not installed years ago. Actually, we used to have partition doors, and what was happening was we had a lot of prostitution, and the park rangers could not actually see the situation to actually cite or remove them. We've had drug activities, we've had other activities behind closed doors of the petition. So we were requested by the park rangers to actually remove some of these doors, and we removed it. But now it comes the time as we provided more enforcement, it'd be nicer to have it reinstalled. So we're doing it with our newer ones, and as we go forward, we'll start backing up into the older ones, and it's all based on the vandalism and misuse of the restrooms and the repairs needed. Is based on the priority and the funding that's available. Any questions?
So you mentioned that, okay, so they inspect them in the morning and the afternoon,
Right,
7 days a week.
yes.
Okay, because I received numerous complaints that the restrooms are, I mean, they're bad. They're in horrible conditions, and I've seen that myself too. And so I'm wondering, at what time is it that staff goes out to inspect what the contractor is doing? Because not that I don't trust you, but I would like to verify myself, so you give me a schedule, and I'll go out there and I'll see.
Okay.
Because you know, it's gotten to the point that it's not healthy. And our community members, they're not even using our restrooms at all because they're fearing, you know, what they have, you know, what they're given. And I've been there myself just to kind of see what it looks like, and it's just that it's in horrible shape, Ron. And I know it's not your, you know, the department's fault or anything, but it's holding, I guess that would be the contractors accountable to what it is that they're doing, because by the looks of those restrooms, it seems like they haven't been cleaned in ages. And not, you know, just like the restrooms, also the sink, it's just, I don't know, a lot of people, I mean, it looks like it's a county jail. It's horrible. They look horrible. So I would like to see if you could give me a schedule of what that looks
Sure.
like. And then also, how much are we paying the contractor for them to do this? And at how many parks? How many parks do we have total? 44. 44, and all
44.
44 have public restrooms.
No,
So,
no,
so how many, so how many,
about 29, yeah. I'm sorry?
47 parks?
soon?
Soon to have.
Soon to have. Okay, but right now it's 44.
Sixth and Lacey, Great Myrtle.
So
But,
two-thirds of it have restrooms.
correct.
Go ahead, Ceci.
So two-thirds of the 44 parks have restrooms, okay, so, shit, and how many, okay, so we have a contractor, but how many staff do they have looking out for our parks?
I'm not sure the amount of staff they have, but it's based on a performance base, and they need to clean the restroom first thing in the morning. Now, obviously, for us to open it up, we only have one staff that goes around, opens up the north half of the city, and one staff that will open up on the south half of the city. So they'll start around 7 o'clock to start opening restrooms, but they may take them to about 10:30 before they get to the last restroom to open up in their district. Now, the same thing happens in the afternoon when they go through their route again, and they try to set up their route so they don't double back. But at the same time, they also have to be aware that they would need to provide service for sports organizations. So they need to make sure that those restrooms are inspected first before they go to restrooms that may be in a passive park site that doesn't need the immediate need. So that's their schedule. I can provide you where they go from point A to point B. Later, I can send that to you, and I can also send you the cost on what the custodial service is costing us. The one thing that you should be aware of, though, is that the custodian is having a difficult time keeping up. In fact, there's times that he's indicated that he may even want to terminate his contract. So we may have to go to an RFP process anyway.
Or maybe, I mean, because I would like to know, like, how much it is, the contract.
I can provide
If we
you that.
could, maybe, if we need more services, it would only be, I guess, it'll be beneficial for us to increase so they could provide more staff. That's why I wanted to know how many staff they had. Because if they're not able to deliver the services, then it's not fair, I guess, if we're expecting so much from them. But then again, also, it's like, is it only your staff that opens up the restrooms, or is it PD too? Or, I mean, who does the opening of the restrooms?
No, it's only our staff, our inspectors. The reason why is our inspectors need to open the restroom is they've got to inspect it to make sure it was cleaned that evening or that afternoon. And if they're not clean, then they will issue an FTP. That's why it's difficult to have too many people opening it. Then you won't have any information whether it was
We have one
clean.
inspector doing this?
We have two inspectors doing it,
Okay.
on the one in the north and one in the south.
Two inspectors.
Two inspectors.
Okay.
So one's checking 15, the other one's checking the other 14.
Yeah,
12,
pretty
12
much.
29, yeah.
But they not only inspect the restrooms, but they inspect it when they open it. But it's the same inspector that inspects the landscape contract. So while he's going around opening restrooms, he's also checking the park. But he probably needs to double back to check the parks because his main goal is to have all the restrooms open before 10 o'clock. So
How about at parks where we have staff, say, the community centers, couldn't the staff there help with opening the restrooms or something? And doing a little checklist saying it's been done?
in the community centers, the staff do open their facilities, but we haven't requested that they open the other public restrooms, the ones that's by themselves in the park site. We could, but right now we're having our inspector do it.
Yes, if I may jump in and help out a little bit. We, frankly, as the council probably aware, we short staff in many of our key areas. And as your new HR director, I've been here for a year now, I can confirm that our community services department is extremely shorthanded. We don't have enough supervisors. We don't have enough people doing the work that I would expect as an HR director to make sure that we don't have liability, we don't have people working out of class, but more importantly, the safety of our employees. One of the things that I mentioned to Mr. Ralph Nunez when he was here as an interim, and now talking to our new director, Lisa, is the fact that we have too many part-time employees working, supervising other part-times too in some areas. So I, as an HR director, am very concerned about that, and I'm surprised that the union has not made an issue out of it. So I think as we move forward, we need to look at staffing community services a little bit better, because they are the front line, similar to police officers. These folks deal with people every day, and I hear that sometimes we have no supervisors on the weekends because we just don't have enough supervisors. So these are the things that concerns me. And when we have people open up restrooms and stuff like that, I know before, and I don't mean to speak for the department, but I was informed that some of our employees or some of these contractors were assaulted by the homeless because they try to go in and clear out the bathrooms and they got assaulted. So some of them don't even show up. And so these are the things that, as a risk manager for the city, I see significant exposures. And if we move forward, if anything, is to allow the department to slowly rebuild their staff. And on that same token, I know it's not on the agenda, but it's the same department. Our library department can also use more staff. The library department, frankly, can use a lot of support. And I know I had a conversation with the councilwoman before, but as, again, I'm looking at it strictly as an HR director, we do need staff in these areas.
Mr. Pham, real quick, if I may, how many vacancies do we have in the city?
Yes, sir.
How
Right
many people
now,
are we down right now?
I'm sorry. I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but the last time I checked, we have over 260 some odd vacancy throughout the city.
That's in full-time, or is that including the part-time?
These are mostly full-time.
Mostly full-time?
Yes, sir. Some of these positions are not funded positions, but they at one point were funded because of the budget cuts, so we left many of them unfunded. That's on top of the vacancies that we just can't recruit.
I've been on this council 2.5 years, and that's all I heard from day one, is that we are short-staffed. And it's true, I understand our economic, challenges that we have here at the city, financial, but, we really, it just shows. Once you dig deep and to find out what we have here, a lot of people complain. They don't understand the full situation that we're facing here right
Yes,
now.
sir.
And this is just one of those very, very critical, that you go to the restroom and, even the people that clean it don't have security, are not safe. And so it's, very eye-opening what you're saying right now, what you're sharing. And thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Because that's what we need to hear.
Yes, sir.
So we can make changes.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And I always remind my colleagues at the EMT is that while I may be your HR director, I'm also a risk manager first. We save a few bucks by not filling positions, but we actually pay a lot more out on the other end, because when things don't get done or when things don't get done right, we end up paying a lot. So that's my biggest concern right now is as your HR chief, I'm looking at the totality of the organization. We are very shorthanded, not just within police. And police presents a different challenge because it's a whole profession that we can't recruit. But in this strong economy, we competing with a lot of agencies out there, and it's really tough to recruit right now. So I think if anything for this body to consider moving forward is to look at helping out the community services department with more staffing. Lisa is brand new, and we talked a lot. And when I first came here, I couldn't believe the staffing level we have for the city this size. Where I came from, they had a director, an assistant director, a 2 operations manager, and 5 field supervisors. That's more than what we have right here, and that's just the upper staff. And so I see a great deal of exposure for the city, and I would be remiss if I don't say that tonight as we address some of these issues.
Thank you, sir.
So how many staff do we need in, I guess, in the parks and also in library to make it fully functional, to be at a level where I guess we would be providing the highest quality service for our community?
That's in our proposed 1920 budget, and what we've done is we've made the library its own department, and that's filling all those positions, eliminating the manager position, adding a director and a executive secretary. On the park side, I can't remember, adding 7 full-time staff. In certain areas, increasing our budget for our contracts for maintenance. And then also in recreation, 9 full-time staff. All these people are stretched, and I cannot ask any more of them. And I get concerned about working out of class. And they're doing a great job, but what I'm also concerned about is their safety in the parks. Their safety going to work, their safety walking to their car. People have been jumped, they've been hurt, and it's just not right. And so that's another situation that we need to deal with also.
That's how our community members feel.
Yes.
They can't even enjoy the park because they don't feel safe.
Right. Yeah.
So my question would be is like, what would make it, I guess, doable for something that we can say, you know, we truly enjoy our parks both at the staff level and also at the community member level. So if I understood, did you say 19 staff more?
You know, I don't have my budget in front of me,
Okay.
but I've split it into administration, parks and recreation, park and facilities, zoo, and libraries. So that's proposed, and you know, and everybody's asking for a lot. I understand in their budgets in different departments, but I can certainly get that to you, and I'm sure it'll be presented to the new city manager, and then what moves forward, I'm not sure, but we'll come to you at some point.
So then are you also considering to, like, you know, in the city parks, in the restrooms, having more light? Because they're very dark. So after the sun goes down, it's just very scary.
Actually, in this year's budget, we have funding for more security lights in the PE bike trail area and various other park sites, Windsor Park and Morrison Park and some of the other sites. And the following year budget, we have identified more funding for security lights. One of the things we looked at in our park system is we have funding available through propositions or through grants or other things. We focused initially, when we had the bond measure way back when, we focused on actually replacing all our playground equipment. So that's why we've got most of our playground equipment replaced. They're starting to get old now and needs to get replaced again. But back then we wanted to provide service to the community, so we replaced the equipment. Then the next focus was to provide lighting, security lighting, so that's what we're focusing right now. The other area was to focus on providing more usage of what's land we have, so we're doing a lot of synthetic turf projects to provide more usage of the soccer field, which we're lack of athletic fields. So that's where we're trying to go.
And it has to be a phased approach because
Yeah.
we can't replace everything. We can't do everything in one year. The capital improvement budget is you don't submit something unless it's funded, meaning there's grant funding, cell tower revenue, CDBG funding. So it's not like we're submitting all these projects for new things to be done, like new restrooms and such. It's finding money that we have.
Yeah, but with Measure X money that's coming, couldn't that something be used for upgrades or just making improvements on the existing stuff that we already have.
Sure, but fundamentally, you have a staff that hasn't had money to do anything for years.
Okay.
They're still in that thinking mode. No one's loosened up the purse strings yet to them. So they're still acting and proposing things very conservative. They're not thinking outside the box, but your talk today is really helping them think outside that box, because they've always said, live within your means, live within your budget, go find other people's money. You're offering them maybe millions of dollars to think about, and their mind is still acting very conservative. So I think we'll get there with your help, with the committee's help. I think you'll get there. But they're still acting like they have no money in their back pocket.
I'm going to call for a 2-minute break.
Okay, got it.
Look at these restrooms. Let's continue with the meeting.
Okay.
Okay, where we left off, Mr. Acting City Manager, you were...
Certainly, all I was discussing is the fact that while the city has millions of dollars coming to itself, the department doesn't yet feel like it does. And that'll be policy calls from the city council later in this year. We'll see. And it helps prioritize what the spending will be. Remember, we have several different agencies: Public Works, CDA, Police, Recreation, Planning and Building, many different departments vying for funds. They're still not sure any of it's going to come their way, so they're being very conservative in what they're proposing to you. They have their wish list. They have their capital wish list, but then you have maintenance and operations. Capital is one-time funding. Build a bathroom. It's great if you build a bathroom, but if you don't have an employee to maintain it or operate it or clean it, you're not doing your job. So we also need to make sure that we think fundamentally in those two areas: capital, one-time monies, and then M&O. It's used in our profession all the time: maintenance and operations. If you build it, you've got to run it, and you got to make sure that that money is there for many years. Ron can go and get a lot of money to build a bathroom, but he can't get money to operate it. Can't get money to staff it. So we have to make sure that we're using the right funding mix. These are the pros that know how, but we'll need your input on prioritizing the money to this department.
So my ask to you guys will be is like, give me a picture of what it would look like to have it fully operational. Like you were saying, you reduced staff by 9. I think back in the 80s it was good. It was like it's fully staffed. I mean, things were good, and I don't know what happened. Like, I guess we grew up and pretty much, we just didn't pay attention to really what was going on. But now going back to each facilities, it just seems like we neglected. We neglected to put our resources that we had. So, and I mean, I don't know how many staff it takes for it to be fully functional and fully operational, but that's what I would like to see from you. Okay, say like to operate, say successfully Memorial Park. Mm-hmm. What does that look like? To operate like the other, but what does that look like? So in order for me to advocate for something, to really understand it and also be able to explain it to community members, because what we see is that we don't have parks, we don't have clean restrooms, we don't have anything. So we see is like the city, itself is taking us for granted. So we want to be able to include them in the process and say, no, we need to do this in order for it to happen. But right now, with us being taxed, it's like, the city, the residents were saying, we're already giving you something, and don't tell me you're not going to give us what we deserve. So help us. I would say that help me help you. So in order for us to help the entire community, so we can get the resources.
My comment is that I'm glad we brought this up regarding the restrooms and the parks, and it all ties in together. And security, we have, what, 1.5 park rangers? We don't have enough people that want to apply. We'll have to figure something out. That's going to be on, that update should be on my Public Safety Committee meeting next week, next Tuesday, the 23rd. But yeah, that Measure X money that we're starting to collect, which has been, what, 2 weeks now? Today's the 15th. Okay, it's 15 days now. That money, I'd like to see that to renovate the bathrooms that need the attention. Out of those 29, some of them are fairly new, I take it. I'm not sure. Do we have ones that are new?
Yes.
That look like that, actually, instead of that other photo? Okay, so, yeah, and to fix it, remodel it, whatever it takes, I'd like to see something. We want to use that money, that Measure X money, to make those repairs. That, something very simple, but is very needy. That people at the park need it. You got children that you need to use the restroom. Sometimes they don't tell you till the last minute, so you're going to have to take them there to use it. And it's a shame that they're not up to par. Yeah, but we understand the challenges that we have on personnel and money. So that's what I would like to see, to use that money towards the restrooms and everything else that has to do with our parks and our streets, and to make the quality of life much better. Is there yes.
So you mentioned here that you're working on an RFP with Santa Ana PD for the security. When is that coming, or when is, before the council, or when is that starting?
The draft RFP is already completed. Santa Ana PD is just finalizing the details on it. I would think, they haven't given me a schedule, but I would think it should be released in about a month.
Is that something that we can ask for an update,
For the next committee meeting?
or for the next council meeting or something? Because that would be, I guess, with what we're talking about, them coming before us. What was it? I just totally forgot already. For the security cameras, right?
Right.
Right.
They're going
Right.
to be on the agenda. So if we can have them to also provide an update on that, that would be good.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll
At
make
the
it.
council.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think we can do
The
that.
next one after that, May 7th. 16th already wrapped up, so May 7th.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. And we'll go with the last item of the evening, the discussion on the Santa Ana Unified School District City Joint Policy items. And thank you, Mr. Ono, for adding this on there. And have we received anything from the school district that they would like to speak about?
The only thing the school district added was a topic of Goodiness High School. I've asked them, what is it about Goodiness High School that they want to talk about? They haven't given me this detailed subject matter that they're concerned about. They just said the title of Goodiness High School. So we'll keep on asking until we're ready to post the agenda.
Is there anything that we can add?
Yes.
So just going on.
Discussion.
Okay, so one thing that I would like to add, if possible, is to talk about Centennial Park.
I'm sorry?
Centennial Park?
Yeah, okay.
With them, just to address, I guess, the entire joint use agreement that we have with them for Godinez and Centennial Park.
Okay.
And then also, the Civic Center, is that something too that we can talk about? For like the civics, because I know that the city, I guess, we rent the fields from them and then we provide the oversight. I mean, how does that work? Well, for some of
You're talking about the
soccer-
Civic Center Act, where the school
Yes.
district allows their fields to be used by the public?
Correct.
Yeah, you can talk about it at that joint policy meeting, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would like to talk about that too.
What fields? Which fields?
The soccer, I guess the soccer or even the baseball fields too. They'll rent out their facilities, and the city oversees it and rents it out to the nonprofits and the users. But it's on school district property.
Very good. And I just would like to add for that meeting with the school district, it's just the Centennial Park security issue. I just would want an update what the PD and the school police are, the city police and the school police are doing. And, no, I think that would be just an update.
For that one, since that Centennial is a very complicated, I would say, agreement that we have with the school district, but we also have Santa Ana College there. What's their role? Is that something that we can talk about at that meeting too?
Well, no,
Or security, because you're talking about security. I mean, they have
Security.
their,
Yeah, and I
Security
think they do
person.
have security, because I met the president, he was at the function we were at the other day with the chamber. And I told him that, we talked about Centennial Park, and he says, you know what, we have security there because they watch their cars, and I don't know if it's just specifically for their lot that pertains to,
I
but
don't know what they do.
is
Yeah,
that,
they
is that
said
something we
that
can
they.
talk about or no?
I did have an opportunity to speak with one person, and they do roam through our parks, so they are providing some security for our parks. I don't know to the extent, but I can certainly find out.
So would that be like an item we can discuss at the next meeting or no?
well, if I can, the joint policy meeting is really to talk about city/school district issues. The college is not part of this process. You can talk about the college at this meeting.
Okay.
We can bring the college here to talk about that
We
issue.
should do that then.
Yeah.
If that's something I
Just like
would,
Garden Grove.
Yeah, I
you're
know.
thinking?
so yeah, if that, for future meetings, if we can have them and also the Garden Grove Unified School District.
Okay.
For this
Okay,
meeting,
hold on.
that'd be good, so we can understand their.
Garden Grove
process.
Unified School District.
For this meeting,
Okay.
because, we can talk about the parks on the west end, the forgotten side of San Ana. Everybody
I don't know, it
forget
looks
the
pretty
forgotten
good over there, I've been over there, and I don't know about forgotten, but.
side.
So, okay, so we're going to talk about the schools and what are you referring to?
For what?
For the next meeting regarding Garden Grove?
Well, just our, if there's any opportunity for us to collaborate on, mutual agreements, on how to use their facilities for a city and then like vice versa. Kind of like what we have with Santa Ana Unified School District, if we can develop something like that with them.
Right.
Okay, so because if we invite them, it's going to be, well, who's going to come and report, or what, they're going to ask questions, so we kind of need to be clear.
Yeah. Actually, previously, we used to have a joint use agreement with the Garden Grove Unified School District at the Rosita Park / Rosita School, where Little Leagues actually used their multi-purpose fields. That agreement has expired, and they've approached us on the possibility of renewing that agreement. Actually, we need to redraft that agreement, because there's some items on there that I don't think we should get involved with. But so that we can discuss that, renewing that particular agreement.
Okay. And then with Santa Ana College, pretty much the same thing?
Correct.
Okay.
So we'll invite the college down to talk about the security and whatever issues they have regarding safety
Right.
in that particular area. Okay. If something else comes up, we'll call in at it.
Okay. And when
Okay,
would that meeting
so-
be? Sorry, our next meeting?
Our next meeting will be July 22nd, 2019, and if there's no other comments from staff or information, no? I want to thank all the staff for the great work that you always do, and I know this agenda was a little heavy, but thank you all for taking the time and giving us the updates and all the good work that you do. And I'm looking forward to them pools opening. And thank you, Daisy and Cheryl back there. I see her there, and our Santa Ana Police officer in the back, Sergeant at Arms. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening. See you July 22nd.
Thank you.